do this thing the way that we always do this thing. Let's do it.
That shit's well, anyway, before we even start, it is Hindsight 2020.
It's going.
What are we on?
23.
2023.
2023.
It sounds like a futuristic date. I never really... Dude, like, think about back in... like when you were a kid and shit, and thinking like, damn, 2020, you know, like...
Oh my God. That shit used to sound foreign.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And 2050 is going to, you know, it's going to be right around the corner pretty soon.
I was 6 years old in 2003, and I was sitting... You know how we used to have tetherball courts in elementary school?
Yeah.
I was playing tetherball, and I was like, I'm 6. I can't wait to be 11 and be in 6th grade. 6th grade would have been... Okay, if 2003, it would have been 2008.
Okay.
2008 came, and I was like, damn, I can't wait to be a fucking sophomore. 2012 came, so I can't wait to fucking graduate. 2015, 2020.
I know.
I must sound like a young ass motherfucker saying that, but that's just how I remember feeling.
Yeah, we do, but like, okay, so you must feel even older. You must feel crazy to have lived through a century change if you're fucking like born... 80s, 70s, 60s, 50s, even like my grandma was born in like the 30s or something, bro, or like something crazy shit like that, you know, like that's...
Mine too.
Old. Exactly, bro. That's
mine too.
Old, dude.
So old.
What is that? What's one of the world wars, right?
Both of them.
Both of them. I was about to say, or both.
Oh, wait. We might be wrong about that.
I don't know.
Definitely World War II.
Yeah, World War II for sure. But...
Maybe not World War. Maybe the end of World War One.
Okay.
Maybe the World War One was in the 20s.
But they were both in the 1900s.
Nah, it was 1930s, 1940s.
Okay.
Dude, they were back to back.
That's
I
know.
Fucking crazy. There have been a lot of fucking World Wars.
But yeah. Anyway,
I wasn't trying to go down that tangent.
No, yeah, I know. It's what? That's what we do. We think about our year. We think about our life.
And the fucking history.
Yeah, the month, the week. But we haven't regretted it ever since we started this shit. This shit's dope.
Yeah, no regrets.
Robert Schock and...
Joey Brogan.
Dude, how old was that one?
That one has to be probably 2018. I remember when it came out.
Yeah, Joe Rogan's a lot more calm back. I mean, not even more calm, but more like, oh my God, like, you know, kind of feel like more hyped on the on like new information and like.
Definitely. He also has a different level of respect for certain people.
Yeah,
I've noticed if he knows that you're a rock solid researcher that's evidence based and isn't gonna just say whatever, then he's gonna.
Oh yeah,
he's gonna respect you a lot more when he's sitting down with you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like Robert Schock, he really respects. He really respects Graham. He really respects Randall. He even respects Michael. He respects people.
Yeah, of course,
that are
of
like
course.
super passionate and know a lot about what they're talking about in whatever they feel like they are talking about. You know.
Yeah.
He doesn't fuck with it when people are like spouting off random things that they've heard other people say as talking points, and then they're using that as their argument. He doesn't like that shit, which I understand.
Of course, yeah, of course. But it just, I like that, yeah. It made it a more enjoyable podcast, I feel like, because he was like super interested, you know, and like, it's Egypt, so I was like super hyped on that shit.
Bro, Egypt is my shit, man. Like, that's one of the only things I'm super always down to like hear.
Super.
I could even listen to the same things about it on repeat and just like get all hyped and enthusiastic about the mysticism behind it and the mysteries behind it, bro. And Robert Schock cracks open a lot of new mysteries in Egypt, bro.
Exactly.
Things that we may never have questions answered.
Did you know that it is the most studied about subject?
Egypt is?
Yes, sir. Right,
really?
over religion. Yeah, like it'd go like Egypt, then the Bible, or like, you know, like the Torah, or like religion itself. But
people
Egypt,
are very fascinated, bro.
Yeah, Egypt would be. I mean, what it has the longest living, largest structure. Still, the only last wonder of the world. I'm pretty sure, like it's the last standing one. So,
and the oldest.
Exactly. So
and the oldest of all of those.
You got to give it some props, you know, where it's due. And I feel like the fact that the hieroglyphics are still there so we can learn about it, and the fact that like you can trace their language, you know, to like some of the African countries out there, so you can actually prove that this is what the hieroglyphics say, you know. So it's not just like some people bullshitting, like saying that they know that, you know, like we can prove that some of these fucking letters actually do translate to this. So like,
you know what's crazy? When I was actually in Egypt, like at the Temple of Karnak, at all the different places that we got to go to, it felt so surreal, and I wish that everyone that was there had the same level of like respect and appreciation that I did. Because if they would just all have shut up and put their motherfucking hand on the wall and just felt the energy of that, bro. I was doing that, and I know I'm not supposed to do that, but I was being selfish. I was like, I gotta touch this shit. Like,
Wait, you're not allowed to touch that
you're
shit?
not, because
Oh.
it is selfish. Because every time someone exposes the oils on their hands to it. Like if you multiply that by 100,000 people every day, then like eventually that shit's gonna
For sure.
it's gonna deteriorate.
I
It's
didn't
gonna
know
go
you
away.
meant specifically the painted hieroglyphics. I thought you meant just like the stone on the like
Even
the
the
Great
stone.
Pyramid. Oh yeah.
Even the stone, like
It'll eventually,
anything that
yeah.
has to do with like the carvings. Like obviously
Yeah.
just a piece of rock, you can touch that shit.
Yeah.
But like they don't want you touching the 3D hieroglyphs, especially like some of the more famous ones. They like ask you not to touch. But just imagining that someone did that shit 4,000, 5,000 years ago. And I'm touching it when the same person that made it touched it. Bro, that felt crazy.
Exactly.
So insane.
And like that may even get like that makes me
And you've touched me now. Now you've touched it.
yeah, that fucking transfer of energy. But that makes me think about the fucking like many worlds theory, you know? Remember I was talking about like someone like downloading their consciousness into a video game or a book or something, you know, a piece of artwork or something, you know, that they did that, like you said, fucking in the stone 4,000, 5,000 years ago and fucking...
Well, I mean, if you're on acid and you can look at a picture and then get transported into the picture and see exactly like maybe a few seconds behind and a few seconds forward of what was going on in the movement of that picture, then I'm sure that anything that you put your consciousness into would at some point, there'd be some coded energy or something in there that you could extract if you knew how.
Though just brushstrokes in itself, you know, is a consciousness that is put on there. Like everything is like almost meant to be because of like how the, you know, wave function. We always talk about wave functions in quantum physics and how the electron is always moving. So our brain is always constantly thinking of the next, you know, next thing it's gonna do, whether it be a brushstroke, whether it be to move your eyes to do this, you know. So it's all just a consciousness that's always moving, dude. It's crazy, bro. And you can.
We're so excited about life.
Of course, dude. Why not? Why wouldn't you be? I don't know. Why? Okay, well, we were talking about the corona. We were saying like, damn, I wonder how it's going to be. And what is it? May, June-ish, and it's kind of just like not done anything besides
that crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
like a lot of people have died apparently, but like.
I mean, I'm talking about, we thought, you know, everyone, like, all conspiracy theories be like, New World Order, we'll see in, like, a month if, like, we're going to, you know, if the economy's going to crash and all this shit. And, like, it isn't doing too well. But at the same time, like, you know, people have jobs. Like, it's not like...
We didn't lose our job.
Yeah. But not even like that, you know? Like, we can't be biased and say just because we didn't lose our job, people didn't. But, like...
People are getting so much money off unemployment.
That's what I'm saying. It's not like...
Some people are wishing they lost their job.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm not, because I love my job. But, like, a lot... like. 4,000 a month to do nothing, bro. What the fuck?
Well, if you treat it like you can get your shit done and get 4,000 to, you know, get your shit done, that's pretty dope. But anyway, yeah, it's just funny to think about how where we're at right now, and it's like we're just still doing the podcast. You know, nothing's fucking. There's no New World Order yet, or so for what we can see. I haven't had
to start eating meat because the supply chain broke down.
Yeah, I remember everyone's like, we need to fucking stock up on food. Like, yeah, it was all good.
Hey, but you know what it does make you think of? Like, if this was a test run for something bigger, like, it makes you think it's like, fuck, they have... most of the seeds are in their possession, like the possession of Monsanto. Mm-hmm. Like, a lot of the ways that people would go about growing food for themselves, or even hunting, even though I don't believe in that shit. Like, I know that if it were to come to that, I would have to know how to do it. And, like, I don't. No one really fucking does.
Dude, I was thinking...
We're all crammed here in fucking concrete, like, jungles. And, like, what the fuck would we do? Like, people would probably start eating each other, bro.
Yeah. Hey, that's what that dude, even that dude Michael Shermer, was that his name? Shermer? Shermer. He made a good point too. You know, it's like, or was it him? Like,
it was Graham.
Was it?
He said if the world was gonna go through a cataclysm, that he would go and settle with hunter gatherers.
Yeah,
because
like
the only
whatever,
people that would know
like
how to
tribal
survive
people.
it.
Yeah, exactly. Because they're already equipped for it. Like, because
they're doing it every day. They're doing it literally every day.
And that's why I always go back to, we can call ourselves more technological, advanced or whatever, I think we're like at a higher than those dudes, but when it comes down to it,
we're not.
And you're gonna want to go to those dudes to know, because they're gonna be ready. They've been ready.
The only thing I could say would elevate us beyond that would be if our civilization as a whole could evolve into
Of course,
the
of course.
consciousness that we possess.
Of course.
If everyone could think about things in a way that would be on a higher level of vibration, then we would be more advanced
Yes.
than them. But because we have no
But
way
that
to-
includes them. Does that make sense?
it
So like,
includes
yeah,
them.
you know,
we have
so,
no way to preserve it though. We have no way to preserve it because we're so specialized and compartmentalized, and we're so bad at working together that if all the fucking engineers in the world got killed by a tidal wave, like how the fuck would we fucking create iPhones anymore?
That's crazy.
How would we
Yeah.
create cars?
Dude.
And we didn't they could leave us the books, but it would probably take us a really long time to figure it out again.
Exactly. And so think about that when we're trying to read hieroglyphics or fucking, you know, read any of these ancient texts, runes that we think we fucking know. It's
Understand?
that's what I'm saying. Like you context and fucking like, you know, verbiage usage and like fucking all that shit, you know. We have no idea what their
Lost
literature is
in
like.
translation, and they probably tried their fucking hardest to like do their best, but they were doing what they knew. Like if someone came along 4,000 years ago and didn't know English, they could watch all the fucking videos that they could find of us, and they wouldn't understand shit.
Yeah.
Shit. Who knows how they're gonna speak? They'd be like lit, lit.
Just
If they keep evolving.
only use catchphrases. Oh god.
Oh my god.
Do the dab.
Gang lit. Gang lit dab.
That's real. Damn, you just brought up a
Gang,
good
gang,
point,
lit
bro.
dab emoji.
Yeah, you brought up a really good point, bro. Like, it is getting to that point, you know? Like, even just people we know sometimes will be like, bro, that's a big-ass word, fool. What the fuck you doing saying that shit? You know, and shit like that. You'll be like, dog, what you mean? It's in your brain capacity to know this shit. Fucking, what the fuck, nigga? Tripping. But anyway, fucking back to Robert Schock and Joe.
Robert
Yeah,
Schock.
he's a really dope dude. Did you hear when he was taling about theosophism or what? How did you say?
Theosophy, yes.
Theosophy,
yes.
yeah. Do you know anything about that?
No, I don't. I
Okay.
remember part of what they were talking about, but I don't remember what he was getting at when he was talking about it. I think that the basis of the conversation around theosophy was him saying that no matter what he knows to be true or what academics say to be true, that he always likes to keep an open mind and
Yeah.
follow the evidence wherever it goes, and that was like the main theme of what they were talking about.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, I was just wondering if you've heard it before. I've never heard of it, but what he did say that it was the belief that shit goes back way further than, you know.
Like cycles of civilization, cycles, the same shit that when we were tripping on acid
Yeah,
in 2015
exactly.
and we were sitting in this room with Trey and Bougie and Aaron and we were crying because we were realizing that this shit has happened many times
over and over and over, and it just keeps happening. Yeah, exactly.
And like, how could we feel that and then hear it through someone that's been studying it for like 30 years later
Multiple
on?
people,
2
you know?
years
Yeah,
after we
exactly.
feel it. We felt that shit,
exactly.
bro. We saw this shit.
And you know that happens to you all the time. You feel shit and you're like, I've come to these conclusions without, you know, or even just tripping, and then you hear like someone, like a scientist on the Joe Rogan podcast say it, and you're like, okay, well, that's kind of weird.
Or you've had the thought. you know?
Exactly. But yeah, he was saying that it basically that stuff goes back way older, you know, or way further than we actually think. But he actually brought up fucking Blavatsky. Have you ever heard of her? H.P. Blavatsky? Mm-mm. Okay, Joe Rogan said that exact same shit, which tripped me out. I was like, no way you haven't heard of her, dude. That's crazy, dude. She's like, her name's Madame Blavatsky. So I don't know what really the title Madame gives you, but that's what they called her.
Power.
Yeah.
Pussy
That sounds
power.
that sounds really powerful, you know. But she was actually a yogi, and she studied a lot of Hinduism, you know, a lot of Buddhism and shit like that, a lot of the occult studies. But she has a lot of books, bro, just on occultism and like what ancient religions actually could have been back then, and like a lot of things on mysticism, dragons, fucking a lot of cool shit like that, bro. You should check her out. She's really sick. And Eddie brought her up, and I was like, no fucking way. That, because like, you know, everything always relates. Whenever you're studying something or like something's in your head, it'll come up no matter what, you know. It's so weird. And then for Joe to say he did it, and then you to say you did it, and I was like, damn, that's so crazy, because like I just got into, you know, I just came into H.P. Blavatsky, so like I want you guys to get into that shit too, because it's fucking, it's dope shit. It's really freaking, she's definitely she's up there with Aleister Crowley. She's up there with fucking any like occultist, you know, that you like, that people actually like followed all the way through and got their like the full like magnitude
full
of their
download.
knowledge. Yeah, exactly.
Whether it be a good download or a bad download.
Exactly. That's for you. That's for you know. That's what the whole. That's what all this esoteric knowledge teaches you, though. You know, it's the beauty is in the eye of the beholder. You know, like it's.
That's why that shit that we were talking about last week with the Pharaoh telling Thoth, like, the written isn't necessarily good because words read without context can be bad.
What we just talked about right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if you leave it up to the person deciding and the knowledge is powerful enough to make an impact and the person that's making the impact doesn't understand the gravity of that impact, you're doing a disservice.
Exactly. Which sucks to think about, but that was just interesting that he brought all that shit up. It was like, damn, that's cool. Because he said he's like I'm not gonna call myself a theosophist or whatever, but and that's it's cool not to like label yourself that, but to know about esoteric knowledge or just like other types of avenues of how people think.
I like that he was able to separate his academia and his everything else and talk about it very separately and know when to make a point on what at the right time. He's very good at speaking. And I really liked how when he was asked by Joe to speak about the different beefs that he's had over the years with people that discredit him or that discredit his colleagues like Graham, he's like, no, I just want to stick on the science. Let's stick on the science. Let me break down the points point by point so you can understand the better picture and like we don't get lost in all the bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. That's I feel like that has come with time. I don't know how he was before, but like I feel like he's he's been through enough debates and fucking like what he talks about in that shit that he can very well produce. He knows that his concrete evidence can't really be refuted in ways that like anything that people try to refute him with, he kind of already has heard or like can work around.
Not even willing to sit down and have a real conversation with them. If you guys don't know who Robert Schoch is, because we've been talking about this man, but we haven't really explained his most important finding.
We've talked about it though before.
We've talked about it though, but like for new people that might not know, in 1992, I believe. It goes back earlier than that. 1989 is when John Anthony West and Robert Schoch first met to discuss John Anthony West's theory that he had gotten from reading an older Egyptologist that the Sphinx might actually be older than the conventional dating of 2500 BC in line with the second pyramid of Khafre. And in 1992, Robert Schoch went to Egypt with the intention of proving John Anthony West wrong because he's a geologist, so his background is in science, whereas John Anthony West was more of just like an archaeologist, not even an archaeologist. He was the head of a dig and like wanted to find things out about Egypt and uncover Egypt's mysteries. He has a very famous documentary called Magical Egypt. You should go check it out. So Robert Schoch goes and he assumes that his colleagues in Egyptology have the information down and they know what they're talking about, and that this idea that the Sphinx could possibly be thousands of years older than the conventional dating is like ludicrous, but he still goes and keeps an open mind and is willing to follow the evidence. When he gets to Egypt, he says almost fucking immediately, 30 to 120 seconds, that he sees the weather profile on the Sphinx, which is only one piece of evidence, but a really solid piece of evidence, and knows immediately that it's way older. And then they stack up evidence like the face doesn't actually match the face of the pharaoh. They have a New York
which we talked about,
detective come that does sketches and compare the face of Khafre to the face on the Sphinx. It's
not even close.
The same race of person.
Exactly.
The head isn't original. It's clear that it's been redone. They found Mehet, the lion goddess, in really old ancient Egyptian texts that could prove that the Sphinx could actually go back to 9700 BC when we were in the age of Leo, and that would explain why the lion is there and why there are no contemporary Egyptological or ancient Egyptian writings that we know of the 2500 BC time before or after that talk about the construction of the Sphinx, that talk anything really to do with the Sphinx other than a couple of the stelas, like the one that's in front of the Sphinx where Tutmosis is talking about a dream where the Sphinx is in it telling him some stuff. I'm not an expert on this, but you're following my train of thought. This is a very, very controversial topic that this man has brought up, and this is what he's most known for.
And like it's pretty much a thing where no one has ever even questioned it because they thought Egyptologists, like he said, knew what they were talking about. But when you come at it from a geological standpoint and from like
astrological
a
standpoint,
lot of different standpoints besides Egyptology.
open-minded standpoint.
Then you see that it probably is, and it probably could be, older than we definitely think. And so could the pyramids, possibly.
Pyramids too, and they don't like to go down that route as much because the evidence isn't as strong as for the Sphinx. But he has talked about seeing, as a geologist, different like markings on the pyramids that indicate that it's been refurbished, not built at the time of the Fourth Dynasty.
Exactly.
And that could be proven by more research, but they won't let them do the research, which is another thing. Like, they're getting in the way of new research so that the story can't be changed.
Exactly. That's on not on purpose, saying that they know that Robert Schoch knows the secret and he can't fucking dig, but they know that there's a bunch of shit that could be, potentially discovered, and they'd rather just stick to the fighting of the politic fighting, out there, which is fucking bullshit, and it just ruins a lot of things, because even like Robert was talking about, like, I've been on the bad side of a gun, like, what the fuck, like, that sucks, like, just because you were trying to dig some stuff up, bro, like, just trying to dig in the wrong people's house, like, by the wrong people's, like, territory, like you were saying, like, how you even trying to claim a place, like, or be cool, it's cool to think you're from the West Coast, or, like, whatever, like, to claim a place and be so prideful that you'll kill someone because they're digging up in the dirt, and that they might have a bomb or something.
My dirt, motherfucker, my dirt.
Exactly. That's what we've been.
I've said it so many fucking times. I cannot believe when I went to the city of Memphis that they had a whole square miles blocked off, fenced off, with just shrubs going over it. And the Egyptologist that was leading the tour literally said, "Oh, there's hundreds of artifacts buried underneath that, but we don't have the money to dig them up." And you think you know everything about ancient Egypt, and you haven't even dug everything up. You're saying that there's hundreds of more artifacts in this one little area, and even around. Okay, we were on the Fourth Dynasty pyramid, the Pyramid of Giza plateau, and there's also lots of sand on that plateau too. Where he told me, he's like, there's tons of stuff under the desert. There's tons of stuff under the desert.
Think about this: the Sphinx and a lot of the pyramid were buried at one point.
Most of the pyramid, yeah. It was buried really high.
That's what I'm saying. So think about if we're not even at ground, we're at ground level from what we think that they want to give us. There could be way more. It could go
be an entire city of pyramids for all we know. We don't even know.
Come on, exactly.
Someone fell to their death, and they discovered a chamber in the pyramid complex that hadn't been discovered because a loose piece of rock fell and it exposed the chamber. And this happens all the time. They're always finding new shit. So why are they trying to take the science perspective of holding back possible new information and outcomes? They could just be like, yo, there's tons of shit we don't know. Let's keep going. Why are billionaires funding vaccines when they could be funding understanding the history of the past?
Because they already know it. It's been passed down in their fucking secret society since day one, dude.
The Masons, bro.
That shit is... Dude, okay, so I was watching the Atlantis movie. Remember I was telling you that old Disney movie? And that shit is, like, so esoteric, too. And, like, it just has so much symbolism. And in the beginning scene, Atlantis is being sunk by who knows what the fuck happened. Like, it's a scene of, like, they're driving these, like, aircrafts or whatever, and the guy speaks in Atlantean, and he says, like, see what you did? Now the whole world's gonna, now we're all gonna die, or, now we're gonna drown and shit, and this huge tidal wave comes over, and it's like, what did he mean by that? Because that's the opening scene. It talks about how he said, see what you did, and, like, kind of alluding to, like, someone did, like, someone led to the fall, like, someone traded on us for the fall of man, or like something like to that degree, like the gods were mad because that's what Plato's story is, like the gods were mad at Atlantis, or like that's the kind of the consensus is that the gods came down and flooded Atlantis because they were it goes to the Tower of Babel, like
Yo, that was you just brought it back into my memory. That was the craziest part of Robert Schoch's argument in the podcast, because he was talking about how the solar flares and the different things going on in the sky that were creating lightning and different, what was it, plasma signatures, plasmic radiation.
Yeah,
signature.
coronal ejections, but what,
Or remember he was the plasmic discharge signatures.
Yeah, the ones that we've been talking about forever.
And the ones
Is
that
what I'm
look like
saying.
stick figures.
Exactly.
He said they have a typical stick figure pattern, and they can look like the head of birds. What do
Exactly.
we see across all of ancient history? Bird heads, animal heads, and
Exactly.
they think the gods were punishing them. If there were godlike looking things, and I'm not saying that this is there could be aliens, there could be nothing, there
Yeah.
could be this.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? But if we're doing a thought experiment, we're following the coronal mass ejection, plasma discharge. It makes total sense that the reason why everyone across the world had the same drawings of the stick figure gods and everything is because they were all seeing the same shit in the sky, and they felt like they were being punished by the unpenetrable overlords.
Which is kind of true if you want to get technical, because it would be the electricity forming into a godlike figure, which is stronger than, potentially something that we can't touch, or something,
or understand why it's taking that form, or
exactly.
It's not all chance scientists.
Exactly. So
like, why would they be taking the form of something humanoid? Oh no, we're just interpreting.
Yeah, we all. That's how
humanoid.
as humans we interpret things as humanoid. Exactly. That's crazy too.
Or they present it to us like that so we can understand it.
So
who knows? Who knows?
That could be
but
like
that was the strongest argument.
That's why I wanted to bring that up, because I just watched that Atlantis movie, and I was like, dude. And then he talked about the Younger Dryas, and like the whole Ice Age. So that just fits in so perfectly with what Plato talks about, what Graham Hancock is talking about to this day, what so many authors talk about. There's so many books on Atlantis, and like all this knowledge that is like,
and so much secrecy in our government and not wanting to explore things or be open and honest about things.
And why is that Disney movie giving us that info? Dude, I'm telling you, bro.
Why is Monster Inc. scaring kids?
That's what. It's crazy, dude. Anyway,
damn, bro.
You feel me, bro? Yeah. So during break right now, we watched a little bit of that Atlantis movie. See, I'm telling you, man. You guys should go watch that, and like just if you like come at it with like an open mind. That like if you're thinking like us a little bit, you'll
do a
definitely
thought experiment. Do a thought experiment.
My thought experiment is, why the fuck are they putting this stuff in a Disney? Like, it's obviously could be deemed as fantasy and all that shit, but like for it to
breakdown in the beginning with the ancient history, that was crazy. Showing the pictures of like the Incan carvings where the man's in the art is in the fucking space. Wait, why do people dismiss that type of shit, bro? It's literally a fucking space ship that the dude is sitting in on an ancient hieroglyph. How is that speculation? It's literally a picture of what? So they knew how to draw a spaceship? Oh, am I just interpreting it as a spaceship because I've seen a spaceship?
Yeah, that's pretty much like...
What? Did they have visions where they saw the future? Were they already using spaceships? Mm-hmm. The Vimanas and the ancient...
Yeah.
No, bro! You fucking know. Oh, man!
Yeah, exactly, bro. And that's something that I don't understand. Like you were saying, you don't understand like why the mystery is so just like, played out or just
tabooed.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything that's important is tabooed.
But to me, it's like, yeah, but dude, I think that, okay. So obviously I know that it's because if you look there, you're going to find the truth, so obviously it's going to be, they're going to make it seem like it's fiction. So it's just like that whole Satan 666 thing, when you start getting into it and you go looking more into the evil stuff, you'll learn more about the esoteric knowledge, and know that it's not all, like about evil, that it has a lot to do with just like the good and evil balance, which is crazy. So I think that, yeah, obviously like it's hidden in plain sight because they have to do it. But it's just crazy that they can like, like as kid, like you said, as kid, we were kids, bro, watching that movie. I've probably seen that movie 50 times as I was a kid and didn't realize what that scene was telling me in the very beginning, like, at all.
You fool, you've cursed us. We have to warn Atlantis.
And they were like trying to fly. Yeah, dude,
that wave was huge. And it came from all sides.
Yep.
And lightning at the very end. A signature of the plasma discharge and the shit that Robert Sharp was talking about. The other crazy part, if you guys didn't know, because I didn't know this before I started digging into all this, back 9,400 BC, so around 9,700, my bad. That's the end of the Younger Dryas. So around 11,700 years ago, in terms of, if we're not talking about BC, the the Sahara Desert was actually a marshland. It
Yeah,
was,
yeah, yeah,
it was
exactly,
wet. So if you
exactly.
didn't know that, then you wouldn't know that our current landscape, our current global landscape, was very different at the end of the last ice age, and because of that, because we can put that area, that the pyramid complex and the Sphinx of Giza, into a place that long ago that was actually wet all the time, it makes sense that the Sphinx has so much water erosion. And if you line it up with the astrology, because that back 9700 BC was the age of Leo, the Sphinx head points to the constellation of Leo in the spring equinox. The geological erosion lines up with it. Plato's fall of Atlantis lines up with it. Like it all lines up, but it's not enough tangible point, or it's not enough points of evidence that like a skeptic or a scientist could see. But I can see it. You know what I mean? I can see it. You can see it
But
if you
you
really
can't
want to see it.
You can't even put those lines of evidence together if it weren't for people like Robert Schoch and like people like Graham Hancock and people that publicize it, because like there's a lot of people that do talk about it, but it's all separate information that you'd only get if you really went to study super deep. You have to first study Plato and ancient Greek philosophy, and like to even know that Plato talked about Atlantis, unless you got it from one of these dudes that 'cause
Exactly.
we wouldn't.
I would have never. I've heard about the Plato text before. Actually, while you keep talking, I'm going to look up the Plato text just so I can read the specific.
Okay. Yeah. Like I said, we would have to even be studied in ancient Greece text. That's why, like, bro, all the Greek philosophers talk about all this shit, bro. If you go back, and this is where we base a lot of history off of what Herodotus talks about, what Homer talks about, even though they do mix in a lot of Greek mythology with it, Zeus, they talk about all this shit, but we do get a lot of our truths and a lot of our early history from these Greek philosophers, and they give the credit to Egypt, bro. That is the main point that like Merkaba pretty much tries to like pound into people's heads, is like the Greeks give the credit to Egypt. Like there are multiple texts, like I can bring them up, where they talk about how they went into this land and there was these people that were super clean, obsessed with cleanliness. They were obsessed with the afterlife. They didn't want anybody else's customs. They didn't want, they had their own little thing. They were more obsessed about getting back to where they were, Atlantis, as opposed to trying to progress as a civilization. That's what the Greeks talk about, is how these crazy ass motherfuckers, they're not like anybody else. That like they weren't like the Greeks. They were like the Arabs. They were their own. These motherfuckers they were obsessed with the dead.
They were the descendants of Atlantis, probably, most likely.
That's what that's what that alludes to. That's what that alludes to, because even Plato says that he learned about the Atlantis legend in Egypt. Or excuse me, from one of his masters that learned it in Egypt.
It's not gonna show me the exact text unless I really probably dig.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
I'm definitely gonna dig and find it for y'all. That's so crazy, bro. And then the date that Plato gives corresponds directly with the end of the last ice age, and when there was massive changes in weather. Thank you, Randall Carlson, for pointing that out. Like massive weather changes, very fast weather changes, things that would actually line up with the diluvial flood, like the Noah flood. It's crazy, and every fucking culture has a story about it.
Exactly.
Why aren't we looking harder? Why are we dismissing it rather than looking for it, bro? We can find it. We can find it.
Dude,
we just gotta
crazy.
dig in all the places that we haven't dug yet.
When that dude Shermer was talking about, like, he's like, so every Egyptologist is just wrong? They're all just being skeptical? They're all not looking at the information? It's like, kind of, but also we're not all looking at it objectively, Like, it's like they've already deemed like they know the information so well that, like, it can't pass as, like, something that can hold up. But if we all just could come to that conclusion, like you said, of just always thinking that you could be, dude, we are at right now, like you always say, could be wrong about all this stuff, but like this is like the best possible conclusion that we've come into right now. So we like to talk about it as something like we deem as possible. But
if we're proved wrong, then we're proved wrong.
Then we'll go with that. We'll go.
But prove us wrong.
If we get proved wrong, we'll go with that line of information with an open mind and still try to figure out that line of evidence.
Exactly. But they don't make no fucking sense. Because they're not real. Like, dude, science is just as much of a religion as anything.
Well, okay, so this is... fuck. I forget I don't know who I was talking to, but it's all these back, dude. Voodoo, witchcraft, and fucking like paganism, whatever you want to call it. You know, like even the ancient Egypt. Like, that's where paganism even comes from. Is from the Egyptian mythology. Like they use the Ankh and all that shit. But it's an exchange of exchange of power through nature. You know, so you're using spells. You're using whatever to microscopic. You know, like on a microscopic level, manipulate matter. And that's where magic comes into it. That's where witchcraft, you know, it's something that is the unseen, basically a feminine energy that is unseen that affects and will ultimately affect the, you know, manifests into the physical. So food, GMOs, like you talking about, you know, always talking about meat, fucking music, all the music that we listen to, you know, the 808s, bro, that shit's a spell too, you know, fucking, it's all has to do with like this, you know, it has to do with this whole environment that we create, you know, we've created that is, we're under a humongous spell that we do it to each other, and what really does it to us, and we always talk about, is the language, bro. The language barrier is keeping us from under this spell, and it's crazy, bro. To, like, you know, and that's like that's super deep into like where I'm at, just like mentally thinking about how, because witches used to get burned at the stake, but all witchcraft is fucking mixing herbs together to fucking, you know, to heal the body, and that's what is science and what's medicine. Extracting the chemicals that we want to fucking, you know, ultimately try to heal the body. But what are the fucking substances, you know, that the doctors actually prescribe us? Fucking poison. So who are the actual witches in this situation, you know? Like you're talking about.
Ones? Who are the evil ones? And they make it even gnarlier because then they got their doctrine that makes the lowest common person enforce their rule for them.
Yeah, exactly.
People actually get mad at you for proposing alternate ways of thinking, and it's not even their thinking that they're starting with.
It's like, okay, let's get this straight. We're both not historians, geologists, or just people trying to talk about like what, you know, other like with what actual historians and geologists talk about. So let's just come to that agreement. For, you know, like a lot of people can't even come to an agreement like that, and I think that's where we.
No, I know everything. Everything.
But then there's like people like the homie Abel, shout out Abel, where it's like, I was like, do you know anything about Atlantis? And he's like, nah, not really, you know, like, and I was like, see, some people aren't even like interested in that avenue of things, so you can bring it up to them and like you can not necessarily shape the way they think about it, you know, but like they won't have a biased opinion to like what you're saying, you know, like not like he couldn't be like, nah, like there's no way Atlantis existed or da 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 because the Sphinx and the pyramids say, you know, like other, or like, you know, like of this evidence says otherwise, you know, because a lot of people haven't even like don't even veer into this avenue of history, bro, which is like I think we talked about it one time, right?
One of
It's
the most
like
important avenues of history.
Well, history is just an important avenue in itself, but we talked about it. It's like I kind of lost my train of thought, but history.
If you don't learn your history, the history repeats itself.
Yeah, but we talked about that, but I had a deeper thought to it. It was something about, oh, you can only go as far with someone in a conversation or a topic as they know, or, you know, like have been, you know, taught or like have veered into it, like the history that they know, you know, you can't, like what I was talking about today, like if my homie doesn't know about Atlantis, then how can I even begin to talk about what I'm talking about with the Sphinx probably dating to an older.
All the cues that I can just all the cues that me and you just pick up on because we know so much about the same stuff.
Exactly.
And we look at each other and all we gotta be is like
and laugh about it.
And laugh about it.
And I don't want to say like, oh, I'm gonna advance fucking whatever, you know, but like I wish that people would care enough to, you know, be on that level, because it's such an I think it's
An interesting level to be on.
I think it's everything. I think that once, like you said, we're gonna keep on repeating history if we don't learn from it. So if we don't literally learn why they have the longest living structures in this desert place, why the hieroglyphics are the oldest and they're still the most copied, most read about, religion, mythology, mysticism, whatever, you know, like it all goes back to there.
Bro.
Yeah,
It's just a coincidence.
and it can't be washed away. They bombed that shit, you know. They fucking blew the noses off of the Sphinx and so many statues, but they can't get rid of everything. Like, it's there now, you know. Like they've tried to get rid of it, and they've succeeded in getting rid of a lot of it. Because think about what was actually there, you know. But they couldn't get rid of enough of it to where we can't figure, you know, a lot of it out, because these niggas wrote so much. Because like all these Greek historians say, these fools were obsessed with the past. and obsessed with their culture, and they knew that we were gonna fall in some kind of, like kind of fall in consciousness or like forget who we were as people, and they knew, dude. They were geniuses, bro. They knew about the body. They fucking pulled the brain out through the nostrils, dude, and preserved this body until today. You can pull up a fucking you can pull out a sarcophagus from the ground, and you can see what this nigga was eating in fucking BC times, bro.
Bro, I saw like a couple thousand-year-old mummy when I was at the Museum of Antiquities, and still had flesh and hair.
Hair, exactly, dude. Think about
You could still see like what their face would have looked like if it was hydrated. You feel?
Yeah, exactly. Think about the level of
And care.
Dude,
They
gnarly,
cared
dude.
about some crazy shit. And like when I was there, I really wanted to talk to the janitorial staff, and I couldn't because they didn't speak English well enough. But I wanted to ask them. I'm like, when you work a night shift, bro, what is this like,
Do they work night shifts?
bro?
I would not sign up for that, bro. That is.
There's so many mummies in that museum, bro. So many dead like artifacts that like an energy that maybe wouldn't have moved on would be attached to, like King Tut's sarcophagus, like the actual gold, solid gold sarcophagus, the solid gold chair of his throne. This person was really small.
Think about that too. A solid gold throne. Remember that? Have you seen the movie 300?
Not in a really long time.
Okay, well, if you can recall a little bit, Xerxes, that's the king of fucking Persia. Okay, he's like some fucking flame. Like a lot of the meme call him like a flamer and shit like that. He has like piercings all over his face and he's wearing makeup. He kind of looks really feminine, you know. But this nigga gets carried around on a throne, carried by like 8 people, you know, like multiple people. They all have one stick or like one part of it, and they're just walking around. You know, this dude just has this humongous throne, bro. Like, you know, the size probably almost this whole room, at least from the desk to here, you know, and it's this huge ass throne, and he just sits on it, and then there's stairs on it too, and they're just walking, like, you know, and that's just Persia. Think about Egypt, bro. Like, holy Shiva.
Holy shit. I just want to fucking go there, bro. Let's like fucking smoke DMT and meditate on it and like go there, bro.
Let's do this. I mean, I think it'd be impossible to smoke DMT there, but
No. I'm saying
no. I know what you said. Yeah, I know.
Here and go there.
I understand what you're saying, but I'm saying in a perfect world, we could go to the pyramid and literally smoke.
I bet you Graham Hancock's done it.
Like, yes. But what I was going to say is, have you heard of what Aleister Crowley did?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so he wrote his book about magic, dude. After he went to Egypt with his girlfriend that he was going to marry, and they fucked in the Great Pyramid at night on acid. And I guess, and he had, like, they spent the night there, and he said that the spirit of Horus possessed him, and they told him to write his first, like, his book, and he wrote his fucking first, like, huge art, like, body of work.
I believe it.
He said he got it from, you know, I think this thing is just always going back to Egypt, dude. Like, I got possessed by the spirit of Horus and fucking wrote this magic book.
Bro.
Exactly,
And people still follow
dude.
Aleister Crowley to this day.
Exactly.
Why? If there's no power behind it, why? And he's not necessarily the most positive figure in history. But,
No, exactly.
But a lot of people that have spent a night in the Great Pyramid say that they've seen some
Mm-hmm.
crazy and heard some crazy shit. And people that live in Cairo say that, like, just like, have you ever heard the Hawaiian legends of, like, the soldiers that'll come, like, walking through your house in the middle of the night?
No.
Like, they have a very similar story in Egypt of, like, wandering, like, soldiers that have the ancient Egyptian attire walking through the fucking streets in the middle of the night, and like pharaohs.
Whoa!
Yeah.
I didn't know that was
That's
I
a
didn't
thing.
know,
That's
dude.
local. That's local lore. Like the shit that they tell you to scare you, or the shit that they laugh about is like it could. Fuck no, it's ludicrous.
Mm-hmm.
But like the locals would say different. They would say that yes, I've experienced this. Like I've seen people walking down the streets that look like they were from 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 years ago. And one person in specific that was trying to figure out if there was any like ghostly activity. I read this article. He was also someone that had to do with like the occult and like darker things like that. But he had the permission to spend a night in the king's chamber, and man, he freaked the fuck out and got the fuck out of the pyramid.
Dude, see, that's what okay.
Got the fuck out.
We like to speculate, and then some people will be like, "Ghosts? You think you believe in ghosts? Da 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 da. All right, let's go spend the night in the Great Pyramid on acid and see like if you don't believe in like whatever
Spirit.
or anything. Enter a different type of energy after that. Are you even willing to do that? Will you go spend the night in a place that someone deems as haunted for a night? Will you go do that? Or if you think that this shit isn't real, then you should not be scared to do any of that shit because But
Exactly.
deep down, every human knows that there's something, besides what this is, and like a lot of people won't do it. So like, you can't,
And also, if you're putting out that energy that it's not real, it's not real, it's not real, you might just not see it.
Yeah, exactly, and that's all comes to that. You can resonate at
At a higher or lower frequency. I feel like if you freak the fuck out, you'll see some lower shit. If you vibe high, you'll feel some higher shit, and it's always all there, always at the same time.
The Egyptians are living right now. We might be them. We don't know. We know we always are the ancestors, no matter what. Like even Alex Jones was saying that shit, but.
Even Jones.
Like the veil of time is so random, like it could just be just that, a veil of electrons and atoms and whatever this is, and time could just be that, a veil. You just rip open the time and you could just see what the ancient pyramids look like because of how you can electrically change the way your brain sees things.
We'll get a glimpse into the past. I've definitely had glimpses, bro. I will get up here and say, without a doubt, I've looked at an older picture and seen the picture move, and like, not just like how I could imagine the picture move, because my brain's not that smart to imagine how the fuck the Beatles on this fucking picture can move, bro. But I've seen them jam out. I've seen them run down Abbey Road. I pulled up a stationary picture of Jimi fucking Hendrix that was playing an older one of his songs on YouTube on acid. He was jamming, bro. I looked at that video the next day when I was not tripping no more, and it's just a stationary photo, and it had no depth to it. It wasn't even that good high quality. But on acid, he was jamming. It was HD. Like, I saw that shit, bro.
Exactly.
Like, how can I see that? Science can't explain how I could see that.
They
Hallucinations.
can, though. They really can. They don't want to explain. They don't want to release to the public what they know about. They've done extensive studies on hallucinogens. They know, bro. They know. But that's speculation, of course. But I think
how
I
the
think
fuck
they
is
know.
a hallucination gonna put together that? Because I can guarantee you would have seen it too. And a hallucination is not a shared experience.
Exactly. That's what. Yeah.
Alex Jones also says that in the interview that you listened to again for the fifth time today, bro. Fuck it. I love Alex Jones. Fuck what anyone says. I love Alex Jones.
Oh yeah. No, I
don't have
too.
to agree with him on everything, but I love that.
Nobody does. Nobody agrees with him on everything. That's for sure. But
he doesn't even agree with him on
he
everything.
himself on a lot of shit.
I don't agree with myself on everything.
Exactly. But hey, this is a good topic that I want to maybe bring up next week. I might fucking send you this video because there's a David Icke and fucking this is like super conspiracy, because David Icke is so controversial. It's fucking crazy. But he has an old video where he talks about moon control, bro.
Moon control.
Or like how the moon could potentially be a satellite and all the anomalies that have to do with the moon, bro, and like how this could play into this whole Atlantis thing and like myth, because there was a time when all around the world civilizations talked about the time before the moon and how the moon just came out of nowhere pretty much.
Really?
And think about what the moon is. It controls the tides. That's what the moon, the moon can ultimately create a tidal wave if it gets electrically charged to a certain degree. But when this is the craziest shit that I was just like, or that fucking I think Merkaba pointed it out, or David Icke, or some shit. But so we think that the moon is a piece of Earth, or a piece of pretty much a piece of Earth that like flew off because we got hit by a Mars-sized planet, and then once
splitted us.
Yeah,
we used to be Tiamat, and then we got hit with whatever it was, old Earth, and then new Earth.
Okay,
the asteroid belt was created by it too, right?
But then they basically prove that was that was unviable. So they came, that was the whack theory. And they came out with the double whack theory where it got hit twice, and so now that this is all like they're just at this point speculating because they really can't prove where the moon came from, And the thing about this, okay, here's the dude. You ready for this? The moon's diameter, 2,160 feet. 2160. 9. 2 plus 1, 3. 3 plus 6, 9. But it shouldn't, and like there's just so much shit that that all goes back into that, even goes back into 432 and all that shit. But there's so many things about the moon that this shouldn't be. Why does it align with the sun perfectly on on solar eclipses and lunar eclipses? Like there's no other body in the solar system that would do that. Like if you were on if you were on Saturn, there wouldn't be a moon that would like block out the sun. Like it would.
Really?
Yeah. This is the perfect. This world is perfectly made for humans or whatever the fuck this is to do exactly what it's doing. Like the sun's. If we were a mile closer or a mile further away from the sun, we would burn up or freeze. We need to be. Yeah, we need to be in this specific zone exactly.
So there's no possibility of life on Mars, even if we created an atmosphere.
Yeah, it'd have to be an atmosphere. We're talking about how our atmosphere works.
Yeah.
But how our ozone layer produces the light and the fucking oxygen that is because of where we are in
proximity.
Exactly. There is possibility we can do that on Mars if we build the right atmosphere. Like you said, it'd have to be maybe a stronger atmosphere that could hold more oxygen or something. But right now we can't. We've never seen it. So this is
definitely
where we're at.
I get what you're saying now.
Yeah.
But even the slightest adjustment of a mile in either direction.
Yes.
Dude, if we got knocked a mile closer, we would burn?
Burn up.
So 92 million miles is not enough? Or, 92 million miles?
Is that how, what are we, 93?
Apparently we're 93 million miles away.
Okay.
So
Yeah, no, literally, bro. It's real. It's a really short distance. And the fact that the moon lines up with it is a really crazy anomaly. There's a bunch of shit. I'll show you the video.
So is the moon a couple miles away?
I don't know. No, the moon can't be a couple miles away. They say it's past the radiation belt because we've been to the moon, supposedly. Neil Armstrong said they said they went to the moon.
I thought it took a couple days of flying in space to get there.
Yeah.
But if it was a mile away, it wouldn't take that long.
No, but I didn't. I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I never said it was a mile away. I'm saying, I never said it was a mile away.
No, you were saying if we moved in a mile in either direction, we would get burned up.
Yeah.
But if the moon's a mile away and we can go there and we haven't burned,
yeah.
That's all I was saying.
Holy shit! Yeah, I didn't even put that in perspective. Damn. I mean, besides the radiation belts, yeah, that's a fucking good one too. But okay, so the craters on the moon are pretty much uniform across what we can see, right? Uh-huh. So when you go look at them, they only go to a certain length and then they stop, which looks like there's some kind of core on the moon, and that outer layer that we're looking at, the cheese block or whatever, is kind of just like an outer protective, like a layer or something, because it looks like when shit hits it, it kind of just dents and it's like, because when we see craters in our Earth, it could be huge, they could be so deep, but these ones are really like shallow no matter where it's at.
Yo, and that shit that they were saying on Above Majestic, where they're talking about the core, like the inner core of the moon having a space base.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Okay. This is super conspiracy. I'm not gonna say I believe this at all, but this is a crazy theory. They say that the Dracos or whatever the fuck that we fought supposedly a long time ago, this whole reptilian race that these people get into, came to Earth on the moon, aka the Death Star, how George Lucas, depicts it. It's a spaceship, like you said. It's a hollowed out fucking piece of machinery that caused a huge tidal wave, and Atlantis we were the Atlanteans fighting the moon. So when we look at the moon, there's those dents that we're looking at. Where the fuck did those dents come from? We never see the dark. The moon doesn't. We spin with the moon, so we always see the same face, no matter what. It never spins. We never see the dark side of the moon. So it's always those dents that we see. So those either asteroids had to come around and then hit it, or it had to come from up.
Oh shit! Damn, I would like for a scientist to explain me that. Just so
that's in a book called Who Built the Moon. Like they go into like that type of shit. Yeah,
bro. Yeah, that's fucking. It would have to be spinning at a rate that's different than us for it to have an impact on it that we wouldn't have had or we would have blocked any impact on that side.
And we have a gravitational pull as well, exactly. So we would pull in the more meteors, then it would have to have already been.
Whoa!
I knew that opened up so many doors, dude.
Whoa! Okay, wait, what? You're right. We always see the same face of the moon.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe we always do. I don't even know
Yeah.
But if that's true, and that we're always spinning at the same rate, then the craters would have had to been created before the moon was in the sky the way it is now.
Exactly. It was a floating rock and it hit us or something, and the craters were already there because, and unless there's been undocumented time where craters hit. Yeah, but how did the craters hit things?
Fuck, bro. You Monsters Inc. me, bro.
Dude,
God damn.
When I saw that, I was like, oh my God, bro. That's just some shit that we never even think about, dude. But yeah, we'll end it on that note because our camera, our timer just went off. Yeah. We think about our history. We think about our last 10,000 years, dude. We think about that. We think about our year. We think about our month. We think about our week. Never regret it, huh? We keep on just getting more into it.
Later, y'all.